This is Radar from the Arte blog coming at you with another edition of Movie Reviews Observations number 216. A little short week with only 5, but I got to watching the Aladdin movie from Disney. A coworker was like, I love Disney movies, and started listing their favorite Disney movies. And I was like, you like the live action ones? They're like, yeah. And then I said to myself, did I just forget to watch the live action Aladdin? Because I don't remember watching it. Obviously, I recognize Naomi Scott from playing the Pink Ranger, and I've recognized Nasim Pedrad from SNL, and the man playing, Jafar and Jasmine's dad. I've seen them before. Don't know their names, but I've seen them before. And obviously Will Smith, is the genie with all the CGI. Billy Magnuson was the token white guy in the movie. And then, I think it was Alan Tudyk and someone else voicing, obviously, Abu the monkey and the parrot that is the bird that's originally voiced by, Gilbert Gottfried, rest in peace. Like a typical Disney live-action movie, it's like almost 2 hours long because you got huge, long credit scenes to give credit to all the CGI people because they're like with fake animals in those movies and this one. And it's literally frame for frame like they took the same movie, same songs. They didn't really break a lot of ground. So unless you're like a Disney diehard who's like, I don't care if the animated movie is now a live-action movie and it's the exact same thing, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to enjoy it. I did not like The Little Mermaid, but I did enjoy The Jungle Book. So it all depends on which live-action Disney movie that I've enjoyed. The Dalmatian movies, they've been okay, but that was more of a Cruella de Vil movie. And the actor playing Aladdin, at least give him credit. You got Middle Eastern descent people playing Aladdin, playing Jasmine's father, the king, and the villain. And you also have Naomi Scott, who kind of looks dark, and Nasim Pedrad, who's got Middle Eastern descent. So at least they didn't whitewash this movie. But if you're going to do all the CGI effect, then there was no point in making the movie because the genie, all the cartoon montage and things he does, like I love Will Smith. He's my favorite actor. He does best to do a Robin Williams impersonation. And I think Will Smith had fun singing and rapping because that's half his career. He's not just a television and a movie actor. He was in the music industry also. So it was like an enjoyable movie. Kids can watch it. It's enjoyable for kids to enjoy and laugh at some of the stuff. But I just thought it was middling. Then I watched the movie Eileen with this Thomasin McKenzie and Anne Hathaway, calling it a wild Hitchcock noir. Nope. Another person says they give their best performance of his career. Anne Hathaway's best performances are like Princess Diaries, right? And she wasn't a great Catwoman, but I feel like she's been in a way better movie. And, I'm watching this movie going, I know Owen Teague, and I know Shea Wingham. He's a very good character actor in a lot of television shows and movies about cops. I enjoyed it. And this movie is barely 90-something. It's 90-something minutes. And the plot of the movie is you got a drunk, retired cop that Shea Wingham's, and his daughter works in a prison, and it's boring, and her life is dull, doesn't have friends, not dating, it's not a normal life for her. Then all of a sudden, the woman from like New York or something comes to this small Boston town and is the psychiatrist for the male prisoners, and they're like teenagers. And she's cool, she smokes cigarettes, she has short hair, she's smarter than all the other men, and like this girl goes, wow, she's cool, I want to be your friend. Then it turns into I'm in love with you, like a lesbian situation where she kind of helps her almost commit murder and cover something up. And because the plot is like this cop's kid kills his father, and they're figuring out why, and that's why she's hired as a psychiatrist, and her father still doesn't know why it happened, but she understands because being a cop and a father are two different things. And she just runs away in the end, and they want to frame it on her father. Okay, cool. Not a great movie. It's just a waste of Anne Hathaway's talent. Then I watched Aristotle and Dante. Discover the secret to the universe. You're like, okay, cool. It's based on a book about a friendship in the 1980s in El Paso between two Mexican heritage people. And I will say it's Rubio Perez, whatever his name is, because it's very hard to read the print on here. They gave him like makeup and like prosthetic and wigs because they try to make him look like he's super old with white hair, and it didn't look like him. And then I like that Kevin Alejandro from Arrow, Lucifer, and now I'm Fire Country, and Eva Longoria were the other kids' parents. I don't know who played the main character, Aristotle's mom, but it's whatever. And like this is what it looks like, and it's a 90-something minute movie. So the two of them become friends because the other one's kind of a loner. No one really talks to him, and he keeps to himself. They meet at a pool. He teaches him how to swim. Then they become friends, and they hang out like the whole summer doing things. And then Alejandro's character gets a job in Illinois, so he leaves and they write to each other, and that's when he starts. And then the other character Sal starts growing as a person. He gets more confident in his looks and his appearance, and talking to girls and partying and being social, right? Well, his friend misses him and has been sending him weird letters about, what his life has been as a young adult in Chicago and the people. And then he mentions to him, oh, I kissed a boy, I like guys, but I don't know if my parents are going to do it. And that's like when Aristotle's like, I'm too cool for this kid, blah, blah, blah. And then they come back and they hang out. And when they hang out and stuff, it turns into a weird thing. It's like, how do you know you don't like boys? And he kept repeating it over and over and over and said, lean in, close your eyes and kiss me. So you know you don't like guys. And I'm like, if you're best buddies and friends, I don't care what your orientation is, you respect the friendship boundary. So I felt like they were pushing it way too much, and they kissed. And then he got angry, kicked him out of the car, and wasn't his friend anymore. Blah, 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 blah. And then he finds out that not his grandmother, because apparently the funeral for this old lady in the movie had none of his uncles and aunts, and they found out that it's not, I don't know if it was his great aunt or his actual aunt or like an older cousin who passed away, but he finds out that she had a girlfriend, and he was like, wow, people are not accepting a gay people in the 80s or whatever it is. Let me go find my gay friend. And of course, he finds out that his gay friend was kissing a guy. The other guy ran away and he got beat up, and he's angry like his father and his brother who's in prison. So you add that element that they don't talk about. It's like we don't talk about Bruno like in that movie. And he beats up a bunch of people almost to death over his friend being beat up. And then he lies and said, he said, I lied to you, to his best friend, Dante. I did feel something. And then like two of them are in a romantic relationship. And I'm just like, okie dokie. Kind of really forcing the issue. I don't know if that's how the book went, if they're just going from the source material, but I felt like, I know we live in the year 2024, but this like was way pushing it over the top of this movie. There can't just be a movie about two dudes being best friends or two girls being best friends and enjoying their lives and being there for each other. I know it's realistic that things like this happen, but not all the time. Then I watched the movie My Slater, My Love, and they go, It's Never Too Late. And this film is an hour and 40-something minutes. And it's like an Irish or, like Scottish movie it's an Ireland movie where they're in like the coast, in the middle of nowhere, beautiful scenery. It's a romance movie. An old guy can't take care of himself, so his daughter hires another person to take care of her father, and they're around the same age. They're both widows, and eventually it turns into a quote-unquote love story. And they're in love with each other, but the daughter thinks he's being selfish, and she's having her own midlife crisis, losing her job, husband getting a new job and moving, and I don't even know if they had kids or not. That wasn't very clear. And the daughter's trying to separate the two of them from each other, and the father, spoiler, dies in the movie, and it's just like, okay, cool. Your selfish needs kind of screwed up his relationship with a woman that he found love later in life, and was being nice to her grandchildren and kids. I'm sorry, he wasn't nice to you, etc., etc., etc. It was a typical, they hate each other at the beginning, and then they fall for each other, and they don't get married, but they get very close to it. They attend a wedding together. I don't know whose wedding, and she was there when he passed away. So it was nice, romantic Ireland movie of old people. It was okay. Then I watched Righteous Thieves with Janaina Lee Ortiz, who I enjoyed watching on Rosewood on Fox with Morris Chestnut. Canceled that show on a cliffhanger. And then she got to be on Station 19, the Grey's Anatomy show about firefighter spinoff for a very long time. Lisa Vidal, I've seen her in various things over the years. Obviously, I didn't recognize the white guy on the team, the Hispanic guy, the black woman, or anyone else in this movie. But it's barely 90 minutes, and it's a movie about thieves. And it's an interesting enough premise that I'm like, this is going to be cool. Being Jewish and making sure people don't deny the Holocaust. That it shows like scenes from the Holocaust where Jews are being taken by the Nazis and all their possessions are being stolen from them. And then eventually rich people buy all the stuff the Nazis stole. And the whole point of this movie is Lisa Vidal is a character who's a thief, but then she gets hired by this Jewish rich guy. And he has this organization with other rich Jewish guys who are Holocaust survivors. And their goal is to get everything back and either sell it and use the money to help others or put it in the museum and there's tax write-offs, whatever it is. And you got an old panel of Jewish guys, or some are not, whatever. And they're like, you're not part of this, but she recruits her team to finally get revenge for her mentor who passed away, who was a Holocaust survivor, the one who found her when she first was stealing. And their whole movie is them trying to steal the artwork from this guy who's like a rich guy. And then they're like, well, he's apparently Jewish too, so it makes it worse. And I'm like, okay, you're confusing me all the characters like love life stories between Ortiz and this other guy, and blah 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 blah, and the wild card guy and the bad guy knowing they're coming, and them not using guns, and then they use guns, and then double crossing and stuff. So it was a horribly written and, in my opinion, directed and flow of a movie. But I do like the idea they maybe set up a sequel, and if they're going to continue to get back items that were stolen by Nazis during the Holocaust, and rich people have them and they steal them, that's a cool, interesting premise as a Jewish person. But the execution movie was not that great. But it's good for Ortiz that now that our second long-running show is over, she could be in movies. And lastly, I watched Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. It's, an hour and 53 minutes. There's a post-credit scene that's like 2 seconds, and then the movie has the regular credits with the animation and stuff, which makes it almost 2 hours. And I will say this, Patrick Wilson, you deserve credit. You've done a good job in both movies being Ocean Master. Can't tell you about Amber Heard's personal life, but she's good in her role. Nicole Kidman's good in her role, even though Aquaman's mother's dead in the comics. They made it because Aquaman, Jason Momoa is not actual like a regular white American like Aquaman is. Samoan, whatever Hawaiian is, the father is, and that's cool, whatever. The father's dead in the comics too, whatever. And, I like that Dolph Lundgren's in the movie. Apparently Martin Short voiced one of the sea creatures, so you're like, it's a pretty good cast. And the guy playing Black Manta, Yahara Abdul Mateen II, not bad in his Black Manta role, but I feel like if they made this movie a decade plus ago, the guy who playing his father, Michael Beach, would have been perfect. But they made this movie too campy. It was like Aquaman and his brother going to save the day from a bad guy because they got to team up like Loki and Thor. And they're making these jokes. They even mentioned the words Loki and brothers and superheroes and stuff. It was too campy. There was a lot of jokes, a lot of swearing, all just a silly kidness that played really well in most of the Thor movies, just not the fourth one. And this one was trying to be much too like it. But all the special effects, all the Atlantean technology, and the sea creatures that you've never seen before, and the mutated animals that we've never seen before, and the weapons and the fighting scenes, and Black Manta's outfit looked comic book accurate and shoots a laser beam. It's cool. It's really cool. But Jason Momoa was never the right Aquaman. Doesn't have blonde hair. They didn't go the whole Hook thing, and they're not making any more of these movies. At least in this one, he has the golden green outfit. He has his trident, and he's got a little seahorse that he rides, and they have his son in it, and he can be telepathic. Like, there were things about this movie that were right. He didn't really live on land. He never really lived on land once he became Aquaman, because he would always say to the Justice League, I'm too busy, whatever. I hope Steppenwolf got a lot of money from their song being played throughout the movie, because it's played a lot throughout the movie, and I'm just going to say, I take it for what it is. DC's bad attempts at making movies, but it's a watchable movie. There's, as I said, enough action and violence and shooting weapons, and the graphics and all this technology looks cool, and the outfits look cool, and it's a star-cated cast of people. And it was a cool idea for the two brothers to team up against Black Manta and some other creatures from the past that we never heard of before, so I thought that was cool. So I liked it. I think the first Aquaman movie was definitely way better, and I don't think as overall, if you're going to take the Aquaman franchise and compare it to other superhero franchises in DC world, it's as good, but it was okay. I wish they'd have a third movie where, he has to choose between his son and his arm, like in the comics and the TV show, and he's got to have a hook, and that's when he gets pissed, grows out his hair, gets a beard. He doesn't automatically have long hair and a beard like Momoa. Momoa is much better served being Lobo. So I will say the best movie that I watched this week was Aquaman, because again, I'm a sucker for superhero movies, and a lot of the actors in this movie I like, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. I would say that Aladdin, basically being a carbon copy of the cartoon, would be the second, and I would say Righteous Thieves based on the premise but not execution, and My Slayer, My Love is something, again, you put on the background. I would say do not watch Eileen. It was terrible. I didn't say the movie Aristotle and Dante was terrible, because it was pretty good writing and the actors are pretty good in the movie, but it was a little bit too much. Thanks again for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews Observations number 216. For On The Rotate Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.